Whoa, that was fast.
It did. It connected fast.
You are speedy.
Well, I hot spotted it. And
The right spot?
Yeah, it was hot. And so it connected really well.
Appearances.
Do not go by appearances today, Lord. This is what you call throw up and move on look.
You look fine.
Well, thank you.
You look very pretty.
Thank you. I probably look like it's Friday, right? Bags under the eyes and all that.
Back to go. Anyway.
So appearances, huh? That's what's been on your mind?
Yes, since yesterday afternoon. People appear one way and then they turn out the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I saw something recently, and it was trying to explain that to a young person. It was either a TV show or something I was looking at, and it was trying to explain to a young person that people can appear to be something that they're not, and that's in trying to figure out what they really are is the question.
Yes. And that goes the opposite way too, is that you may meet somebody and their appearance may look for one thing and they really are another. Like I really am only 22. I appear very old.
No, I see. No, I believe it because you do not look old at all, and so I believe it. You're the one that keeps throwing this abstract number up of what 77 or
yeah,
76.
Not quite. I'm stopping at that.
Okay, so 77 in December.
Yes, and I like that number combination. So
that's a good. It's the sevens are they're a good number.
I think that's a good one to stop at.
That.
Not that I'm going to be over. I'm just like the number.
Well, you act young and you appear young, so you don't appear to be 77 or almost 77. I don't want to put myself at 59 yet either, so we're not going to do that. It's coming up very closely, but no.
No. So appearances. I mean, really. I appeared last night in front of one of our young coaches, and he said, "Mrs. Rivet, I didn't think I'd ever see you again." I said, "I'm like bird poop. I just keep flying around." Appearances.
Never know where I might land.
Never know where I'm going to land at all. No. And of course, these. If you're lucky, you can recognize them. Because when they change from 14 to 21,
it's pretty big.
Their appearances can really change. I mean, one young man, he filled all out, and I saw him, 6 years ago maybe, and he wasn't all filled out, but now he's like, and this young man I did recognize because he's still slender like he always has been. And of course, you get the hugs, and it's like they're up here. They used to be about eye level at 14. But yes, appearances.
Well, your appearances can be deceiving because there are sometimes people can come in your midst and you can treat them like they may be dressed in like they look, and then they really turn out to be. Because there's even that TV show about the undercover bosses.
Oh yes,
that's a really interesting show. And if everybody went undercover at some point and did that, and who knows how people might treat you? You might really find out something.
And sometimes, when you meet someone, you don't know their background.
You don't?
You don't. And on any given day, don't come to my house, because if I'm outside working, I do not look like what you think I am going to look like. I may have a mask on and nylon stockings, but I think we talked about that before.
Not the nylon stockings.
Oh, well, I don't like ticks.
Okay.
So if I'm mowing the lawn or something, I put cotton in my ears. That helps with the sound.
Please take a picture one day and send me.
And then I take my stocking and put it down over my ears.
Your nylon stocking?
Part of a pantyhose.
You don't put it down over your face like a bank robber?
No, because I wouldn't be able to do that well. And then I put my hat on.
Well, you could cut your eyes out and your nose and be able to breathe.
But scare the animal.
Well, we were watching an old show the other day, and it was back. Remember back when the crooks used to take the nylons and they'd put it over and try to look like they were disguising themselves,
Their
and
noses
it
are
would
all.
distort it. But I mean, you could go like, "Isn't that so?" I mean, you could
It's like
kind of make
it's
it
like their
out, but
nose is like this.
yes, and their eyebrows are big. I mean, it did distort them some, and I guess some, but
With glasses, it's a little hairy.
yeah.
It's like appearances. Of course, today's Friday. I've lost all track of time this week.
I guess so.
When you it's
When,
like
when you've been in the
what?
bathroom a lot,
That's right. I mean, it's like
most of the
yeah, colonoscopies, folks. They're so much fun.
yeah, they last for several days, don't they?
It's like you carry a little gallon jug around with you, and you go in there. And a lot of appearances, you
Because
know.
you kind of lose at least a day and a half, don't you?
Pretty
Probably by the
much.
time that you're having to
Pretty
sit
much.
around doing nothing but running back and forth to a bathroom, and
Hmm.
then you have to. And sometimes you don't get your appointment early the next morning, so then it's late in the day.
Oh
Or
my goodness! They told me
those aren't
somebody
fun.
had theirs in the
Mm.
afternoon.
Yeah, Bubba's had his in the afternoon before, and that's not fun.
No, that is not fun. And of course, I wore my glasses because you've got to sign all these things. And I usually, if I'm doing something at the hospital, like hip replacement, knee replacement, those fun things, I'll bring my eyeglass case. So I'm like, oh man, I forgot it. So they said to me, well, just put your glasses over there. One of the nurses came in. She goes, well, I said to my husband, don't let me forget my glasses. Now, here's the thing of appearances. Obviously, I appear with glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And I said to my husband, don't let me forget my glasses. And the nurse says, well, if are they necessary? I,
Only to see.
I said, well, if I have to read anything, yes, I certainly.
Or walk into. I don't want to walk into
I
walls
have
either.
these are for real. These are not. Now they have the designer glasses.
Mm-hmm.
That people buy them and wear them because they look kind of cool to put on glasses. Are you an idiot? It's like if I don't have to have glasses, why should I have them?
That's
So maybe I
funny.
appeared younger than I was, and these were designer glasses.
Well, yeah, and people do look different because there's some people that I haven't.
Can you see? Can you see me now?
I can see you. There are some people that I have not recognized because they wear the mask, and they still wear the
That's
mask.
true.
And if you don't recognize somebody's eyes, you may not know who they are for sure.
And then they feel offended if you don't.
If you don't speak, and and I have to tell
Yes.
them I'm sorry.
That's yeah.
That because I really honestly wasn't sure if it was you or not you or
And
whatever.
yes.
So, I mean, I have run into that situation before because people do look a little bit different. And if they've got, in wintertime, they're wearing stocking hats or a hat or something. So it's harder to just get it. So no, I'm guilty of not recognizing all the time, different people.
Or you think you recognize somebody,
Well, and I
and they
used
are
to,
not the
I
person.
know, now that has happened too.
Me too.
And see, I used to work at the bank years ago. And then when I went to work at the doctor's office, sometimes people would come in and they'd be like, I think I know you. And I'm like, put a window in front of me. And they're like, oh, the bank lady. It's so funny. It's just like, yeah, just put a window in front of me and a microphone. What do you think? The bank lady.
I remember one time I was my husband and I were just early married or before we got married. And we went to this place in Ithaca called the Warehouse. You remember Art Linkletter?
Mm-hmm.
His son, and I think he had a group that built a place near Cornell University in Ithaca called the Warehouse. It was a dance
Okay.
place, it was built like a warehouse, but it had a center stage, and different groups would be there. And we would go. And I said to my husband, gee, that looks like my cousin from Corning, New York. I'm looking at him and he's looking at me, and I'm like, wait a minute, it is my cousin. So, it's funny how that happens.
Well, because especially if you're not expecting to see them there.
Right, because and he was a bit younger, so I didn't quite expect to see him there. But yep. So you get to see people that way, and
And now with this new AI thing where people are calling and they're recording, you really have to be careful. That's one of the scams that's out. Is that they're
Oh,
calling and then they will ask you some questions, but it's robotic. And then if you answer, then they're taping you.
they've got your
So
voice.
then they can go back and play it to somebody. And so, voices a lot of times, this was in one of my devotions the other day, or it was in one of my studies that I was studying, but it was Bible and stuff. And it was talking about how you know God. And it was like, when you know somebody, then you can almost recognize their voice no matter where. I mean,
Right.
it's like a mother can pick out her baby's cry usually amongst the other kids and
Yes.
stuff.
Yep.
Um, and so, but when you don't know somebody as well, you don't recognize it. So these people are then getting these phone calls now. So I'm wondering if you're on your cell phone and somebody calls you that you think but they're in a panic and they're asking. I wonder if you could ask them to do the view the camera thing.
Ooh, good idea.
I'm
Like a
just
video
wondering.
call.
Yeah, because even like on my Droid, I've got the Android. I don't have the Apple, which Apple people can FaceTime. So
Yeah.
Apple people can do the FaceTime. So I would suggest that. If you're not sure if it's this person, but they're calling distraught and they're saying, "Hey, I'm in trouble. I need so
Send
and
me. Well,
so."
we can do video calls.
So
Come
yes,
back and do a video call, and I want to see who you are. Well,
but
that's where the family code word is important. When they did the scam program, was it last week or 2 weeks ago
mm-hmm.
downstairs? And we did it 4 years ago. And I have a little card here that I was giving out that you put a family, either code word or situation.
Okay, but if they're doing it digitally, then they're not going to have the code word. So how do you get the code
You
word out
mean
of
if your
somebody?
family's really doing it
No,
digitally?
if the crooks
Well, you have
are
to
doing
ask
it,
them if they're for real. Say, what's my family code word? So
that would
you
be a good one too.
that is
So
that's what that
so
like
you could
children
do it. I
have.
mean, because usually you work the code word in without the crook knowing.
That's yeah. Well, the thing is,
But in this case, if you're not sure, I guess you
like
could say,
families, like with children, they should have a family code word
mm-hmm.
so that they are not scammed by strangers who are trying to take them. And I just watched a murder program the other day where the kidnapper did that. Well, I know your father really well. And she got in the car. And of course, she's gone. But in our daughter, we had a family code word that the kids knew. And if somebody came up to them, if that person didn't know the family code word, you don't go with them. Same idea with someone who calls you for scams that sounds like your relative because they're all digitally, they have your voice and they sound like you. And you say, wait a minute, stop. I want to know I want to verify that you're really my family. What's our family code word? What is the incident that only our family knows about? And if they don't know it, gone, hang up. People should really have those.
That's a good idea. It is.
I mean, especially the elderly like me. And we have a family code thing. We do.
And maybe you should have it with friends. Because say I got a
Doesn't
phone call,
hurt.
say if I got a phone call from you and you were saying, "Hey Karen, I need your help," I would do
Okay.
it,
Yeah.
and I would be there and stuff.
And
But
you say to me, Joanne, what did you do in the van? Say, oh, how is your garden growing? But I mean, we do. Or and some people will not know. I mean, you probably know my middle name, and some people probably don't.
Well, everybody does now.
Yeah, they do now. My maiden name, then not so much. So,
Mm-mm, mm-mm. So
or my
yeah, but I
mother's
mean,
maiden name, or her first name, even for that. It's like, okay, that's a long one.
but yeah, so I mean, there are times, and yeah, but
So that's
but
all in
so
appearances.
you've got the code words you can use, but then you've also got your cell phones,
FaceTime,
and so
yeah,
you can say, "Hey, well, let's FaceTime this call."
that's right. I like that. What are they going to do? Come up like our Elon Musk?
So yeah, and then that might make somebody, but don't just jump to the conclusion. So it comes back to not jumping to the conclusion on anything, because you can't jump
Yeah,
to the conclusion um, on first time meetings of anybody. You can't jump to the conclusion on
Their
their
appearances
appearances or how they may act the first time you
or what
see
they're
them.
wearing.
But I have to admit, there are times when the first impression can affect you.
It can.
And you either have to, if it's something that you're going to be in a relationship or possibly in a situation with this person again or this group again or whatever, you have to choose whether you're going to let the first time go, maybe keep it in the back of your mind, but let it go and not let it be the deciding. Now, if they act that way the second time, likely the third time to go act the same way, don't you think?
The faccia di scappa, the face you want to slap. We had a friend. We used to go camping with him, and the husband was sort of like that. He didn't make a lot of friends, but he would bait you. Right? He would make some snide comment or something, and I would just turn around and go, forget it. And he would go, and his wife goes, she's got your number. Because I knew what he was doing. He was trying to see the reaction, trying to get your bristles up to find your weak spot. And consequently, he had people who did not like him at all. We invited a bunch of friends for New Year's Eve one time. And I'll tell you, one guy said, is he coming? Probably. I don't think I'll come. I'm like, oh, well, you don't really have to talk to him, just treat him like I do. Just like make fun of him and just give him the raspberries and laugh. And he never got angry over that when you did that to him. So that tells you about his character. He was really trying to see what you could handle.
But then some people are just like, I just don't want to have to put up with this.
Yeah, I don't have time for this anymore.
No.
Enough already. No time for this.
I mean, why do this bristly burly act? I mean, why are you trying to do this to me? I mean,
yeah, really.
I mean, some people can't and won't, and I've been introduced to several people like that too. And finally, once I kind of did the same thing back, I ain't worried about you or whatever. then our lives just went on, and it was like we really became friends, or
That's
we
right.
were able to do it.
Yeah.
But the more that I tried to feel like I was trying to calm them or appease them, or I guess the BS meter was up, and
he just kept baiting you again.
Mm-hmm.
That was what he would do. If he got your dander up, he'd just do it some more. I was like, oh. I was sort of pushing your limits too as a person. Really, how much are you going to tolerate? And if you get that, it's like, I've dealt with kids in school that are worse than this. So just, you're, and we were friends. We all became friends, and we would go camping with them. But they didn't have a lot of friends because of that. Because some people just wouldn't put up with it. Again, appearances. Now, that coach last night, he may be a very nice man, but his first impression that I got was one of, that appears to be a bit strange. So we had a really important, I'm going to go through a really important middle school soccer game.
Yes, it was the championship.
It was a championship game. And for our console, whichever console we belong to, right? Now, our little guys, you got to understand that we are very rural. And our guys have never gotten this far.
No, and because we were actually the district champions, of and then we had to go up against the other.
And then of course they have the playoffs for the sectionals playoffs and stuff. And we played against, and I don't know if that team has probably won all the time.
I think I heard someone say the last maybe 8 years or something.
Yes, so they've won,
And they don't
all
like to lose. Nobody likes to lose,
no
but I
one
mean,
likes to
there are some people
lose,
that don't like to
but
lose, though, and they show it.
you don't want to be poor losers, but you also need to be charitable winners. And I don't think they are charitable. They have very little humility. So this is the big game,
Hmm.
and I am standing in the concession stand when their bus arrives, and all these kids run out. And of course, they've been driving for what, about an hour, so they've been holding it for an hour on the school bus. So they run to the porta potties, and I hear an adult say, "I'm just going to use the woods." I'm like, okay. I'm thinking, is that what he's talking about? So I stand in the doorway of the concession stand,
Hmm.
and I'm looking, and sure enough, coming from across the dirt road next to the side of the woods is the coach, who obviously did not want to wait in line for the porta potty.
He was thinking of his players.
Sort of. So I'm like, okay, what is that kind of appearance to me? And what is that statement that he made while all the kids are getting off the bus? He's going to go use the woods, and he is the role model. Now, he may be a very nice man, but right there, I'm like, you are a person of authority, you are a role model, and you're going to run across the dirt road into the woods to pee. What does that tell you?
TBS,
TBS?
tiny
Too
bladder syndrome.
tiny plants. I'm glad it's not a TCS, tiny colon syndrome. Remind me to tell you a story about that too.
So appearances.
Appearances. So to me, he appeared as, how should I say it? In my book, he lost his position of authority, respect, by doing that. Because he has girls on his team, they're certainly not going to run in the woods and go pee. Well, they might, but
I wouldn't.
I
But I mean,
would tick some poison ivy.
mm.
So I don't think so. But I mean, see that, and he made the statement loud enough in the parking lot that I heard him, and I wasn't standing in the doorway of the concession. And I was kind of curious, and I stood there, and yet there he was. Okay, not that he was peeing, folks. He had finished, I guess, because he was coming across the street from the woods. But again, appearance. Now, to me, that was disrespectful to his players and to actually our team, really. Like, you guys, I'm just going to go pee in your woods. Like, I had a little eighth grader one time. It's a ski trip. I can still, little Tommy. He had a snorkel helmet on, a little snorkel jacket. And somebody said, Mrs. S, he's peeing on the side of the trail. And now here's the appearance. Here's this little eighth grader on a ski slope with his snorkel, which is like having blinders on a horse. So he thinks
He's by himself.
he's by himself. So he has to relieve himself, and rather than ski all the way downhill, let's just go over here on the side of the trail where there is nobody, according to my snorkel helmet. So my little snorkel hood.
That's so funny. That's funny. I can just visualize
Can you
this.
tell? And it was gray. It was one of those that had the fuzz around it, so it was real. And he was a cute. He was the cutest, nicest kid, and I knew the mother very well. And I pulled him aside. I said, "Next time, just go down to the restroom." Of course, you have to understand when you're skiing, and this is not water skiing. You're
No.
alpine skiing. You're coming down those hills. You got to take off all your skis, everything, and put them aside. Go in, and you've got all. So, as an eighth grader, I can see his thought process,
Yeah.
and then he can't see anybody. So
He was all alone in
I'm in my own stall. I have my own stall, and I can just go right here. And that was the funniest thing. And I didn't get angry with them. I just said, next time, go someplace else where there's no one watching.
The source, right?
Yes.
That is too cute.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, everyone's skiing past him. Like, oh, jeez.
That's a good one to end this one on, but that's funny.
That's funny. Appearances. Can I see you now? No.
You can't see me.
You can't. I'm hiding. I'm in plain sight.
All right, take care, guys.